Hi, everybody. It's good to be back. I'm Donald Clark. For those of you that are joining the first time, welcome. Uh, I am one of the acupuncturists here at CNY Fertility, CNY Healing Arts up in Syracuse. And winter's kind of back a little bit today. It was really nice and warm, but I think we're starting to get that upper peninsula, Midwestern Atlantic weather that you guys have been getting the last few days. And we got some snow, and but it didn't stick around. And all of our daffodils are blooming, so it's a good time of year. I wanted to talk a little bit about chi or energy, for that matter, and and what what we perceive as energy, life force. In Chinese medicine, we talk a lot about chi and energy and how it moves through the body. And for somebody that doesn't really know a lot about Chinese medicine, that can get confusing. So, what I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to try to decipher it all a little bit for you and talk about the body's energy and chi. So, essentially, the word chi means energy, right? So, everything in the world has energy, right? We are composed of energy. And it's not until we are born, essentially, that it becomes a life force or in embryonic stage, it becomes a life force. And that's when it really truly is a life force. But and my view on energy is not everyone's view on energy. So, the Buddhists' view on energy as compared to the Christian's view on energy and so on, the Muslim view on energy is, it's opposite. But I think everyone can agree it's essentially life force. It's in everything. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. In Chinese medicine, qi or energy really manifests itself in life. So you have when creating a when reproducing or creating a child, you transfer some of your energy to the, that baby. So not only is it genetic transferring, but it's also energetic transferring. So the shape that you're in, be it exhausted and tired and sick, or in perfect health and rested, kind of dictates what kind of energy you're transferring at conception. So you want to be nice and rested and healthy as much as possible um, upon conception. And after after that conception has taken place and we're born and when we start eating and drinking and breathing air, then we start to work into energy that we create or chi that we create on our own from our food and from our environment and from the air that we breathe. So you have pre-birth chi and post-birth chi, and that combined together in life creates essence or jing, but life essence or life force. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how we can harvest that energy, that chi, and how we can best use it, right? So there's a lot of techniques, a lot of exercises that we can do to increase our chi, increase our energy. And one of the most beneficial ways that I have found is through breathing exercises and meditation and quiet time. Yoga is also fabulous at building chi, building energy. When I'm doing acupuncture on everybody, you feel their pulse, but you can just generally tell where they are in that spectrum of self care. And but I'll tell you, the folks that do yoga on a regular basis, you can feel the energy, you can feel the chi in the needle, you can feel it in their pulse, and their bodies are just alive and bursting with energy. So yoga, definitely, as well as meditation and proper diet. And but But breathing exercises, some of the breathing exercises are really simple. Most of us breathe into our lungs, right? Because we're rushing. We've never really been taught how to breathe. It's always kind of just been natural, right? We're like, we breathe, right? But when we take that deep breath, and when we take that deep breath and we feel great, it's always because we're breathing into our bellies, right? So we need to get into the habit of. I apologize for all the dings, by the way. I should have turned that off. So we need to focus on breathing into our bellies, right? So we breathe in through our noses and into our bellies, and we hang on to that. Now, when you breathe in, you're breathing in energy. You're breathing essence, the essence of air, right? It's so powerful, right? Can't live without it. But within the air, there's a life force. We take that in, breathe it into our stomach, just below our belly button, and then when we exhale, we exhale out our mouth, right? And I think I'm doing that right. Yeah. And so when you exhale out your mouth, you keep that essence in your belly. So you can keep it there, right? You just keep that feeling. You just keep that feeling in your belly, and you just repeat. All right. And this is something that you learn as you go along. You just you learn as you go along, right? You practice. If you do it once or twice here today, do it 4 times tomorrow. Eventually you start to get into the rhythm where you're not breathing into your lungs, you're breathing into your belly, and you're holding it there. And that is the key to harvesting the world's chi, the Earth's chi, what is out there. That's one way to do that. And there's lots of definitions on how to breathe and the best ways to breathe. You do what's best for you and what's more comfortable. But remember, try to get that breath into your belly. Don't always do the upper lung breathing. You want to take it deep. You want to oxygenate yourself. More oxygen, better blood flow. Everything's happier. Everything relaxes. You deprive anything of oxygen, it's just going to stress it out, right? And so if we're constantly shallow breathing, running around, we're not taking time, um, we're not getting as much oxygen as we need, and we all need lots of oxygen. So keep that in mind. Another way is just by slowing down. I'm simply just going to talk about what I do, right? And what I do is not what everyone else does. I know that. But what I find helps is if I just relax. And most importantly, I go outside, right? I want that natural flow of air, the natural flow of chi. That's why it's so valuable to live in an area where there's 4 seasons, right? So spring, summer, fall, winter. It's when that season changes, it's like a lake, it turns over. So you get a lot of fresh energy coming in, a lot of fresh chi. I'm not saying there's not lots of energy in Arizona or these subtropical places, but they all have seasons too. And when those seasons change, that's when you get a new, fresh blast of energy, a blast of chi. So being outside is important, to breathe in that air and to listen to nature, right? We're just bombarded every day by waves, sound waves, and energy waves, and all kinds of stuff that's interfering with our brain waves, right? So we're being pounded every day, right? So shut down, slow down, put the screens away, turn that TV off, carve out a little bit of time for yourself, even if it's 5 minutes. We're very busy people and we have a lot going on. But we have to remember, we want to stay healthy. We want to stay fresh. We want to be around when our families are growing up, to see everybody grow. And we want to be healthy. So carve some time for yourself, slow down. So I like to go outside. I like to slow down. I like to listen to nature, right? I like to just watch and observe nature. One of the benefits of being a trained acupuncturist is we're highly trained in observation, right? So we're trained and taught to watch people, to talk to them, to watch their bodies, look at their eyes, their tongues, feel their pulse, see how they carry themselves. That's the beautiful thing about Chinese medicine is that it spans all languages because you don't necessarily need to verbally communicate to know exactly what's going on with somebody. We have our ways of diagnosing without chatting about it, and so that has carried over to nature, right? And energy and chi and our bodies. We're in nature. We're surrounded by walls a lot of the time, and we're technology is a wonderful thing, and we're caught up in it sometimes a little too much. But at the end of the day, take all our clothes away, go outside, and we're we're in nature. So we need to we need to respect that and get involved in it a little bit. So that's what I do. I go outside. I'll watch flowers. I'll watch the wind. I'll listen to the wind. And what that does is it starts to bring back the natural patterns in my brain and in my body. And those are the patterns that we miss a lot of the times. And what that does is it helps slow everything down. It helps us slow our bodies down. But in the meantime, we're we're just harvesting. We're just taking in all this chi, all this fresh chi, right? It's not stagnant anymore. We're not in a stagnant environment. We're in a very fresh and open environment. And if you can, it's not for everybody. If you can, and it's warm, don't walk around in the snow barefooted. But if you can, take your shoes and socks off. Feel the earth, right? Feel the earth under you. Don't separate yourself from it. Try to connect with it. And that will really root you, right? So we're not all up in our heads anymore. We're not having inner dialogue, conversations that are just pointless half the time. So walk around barefoot, root yourself with the earth. Let those let those patterns, let those wavelengths shift to a much more natural, slower, healthier pattern for you. We have to remember that with our breathing and harvesting and just gaining and gathering chi, we have to remember everything's circular. So a lot of this is based in a lot of Chinese medicine is based in the concept of yin and yang, right? Bright, dark, cold, hot, sun, moon, right? High tide, low tide. I could go on and on and on. Patterns in nature are humongous. But the one thing that they all are is cyclical. They're all circular. And that goes for your breathing, right? Life, death, young, old. So starting to follow those patterns of understanding that life is cyclical, I think it slows us down, right? So if we start to appreciate that if we take in, we'll take out, but we need to harvest because if we're constantly putting out, right? If we're constantly putting out energy, all of our attention, if we're constantly putting out and not bringing in some resources, right? Some good food and some chi exercises, we're running on empty. And so many people run on empty. I see it every day. And it's because we're busy and we haven't been directed or we haven't been pointed down a road that teaches us to take care of ourselves like that. And it's simple, one of the best ways is just to build chi, build energy, breathe, take time for yourself, put the screens away, and try your hardest to appreciate nature. We're very separate from nature, which is awesome, because look at where we are today, right? We're growing, we're expanding, technology is awesome, we're in space, and but there needs to be some balance, right? And so we get out of balance, and then there's disharmony, and that's where usually illness or disease starts to stem from the disharmony. So we need to make sure that we stay in balance. I hope this is helpful. I know it's brief, but it's powerful. And this week, I just want you to just kind of try to build some chi, get into yoga, find a yoga class that you can get into. There's so many different avenues for that. Go outside, plant a flower. It's a little early, but you know what I mean. And and I think you'll find that you're much healthier. Um, so I'm just going to kind of look at some questions real quick, and one of these days, what I'll do is I'll just take questions, right? Probably not next week. Next week I'm going to talk about the kidneys and kidney function. I've been skipping organ functions for a couple weeks now, but we need to get back in. And the kidneys, I think, are the most important. Even though everything's important, the kidneys are very important in fertility and family building. So let me just see if there's any questions that I can, confidently answer. And there's actually a comment. It's not really a question, but it is actually true. If you're putting weed killer on your lawn, you gotta just ask yourself, what's more important, a lush, weedless lawn or carcinogens in the environment, right? So, I don't recommend weed killer, right? Some people just have to have the perfect lawn. Don't come to my house. It is not perfect. Thank you, and I will talk to you guys next week.